Assalamu alaikum, welcome to Game Changer. I'm Maryam Zia. Tonight we will delve into the latest controversial statements made by Prime Minister Narendra Modi regarding Pakistan. In a recent event marking the 25th anniversary of Kargil War, Mr. Modi was addressing, of course, his citizens, and in which he accused Pakistan of terrorism and proxy war. These statements were, of course, condemned by Pakistan, and Pakistani Foreign Office, of course, called these statements as counterproductive jingoism. When we talk about Narendra Modi's these statements, of course, we have been witnessing these statements regarding Pakistan for quite some time now. What are the implications of these statements, and are these statements of course meant to divert and deflect attention from India's atrocities in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir? We will be discussing in today's program. We will also be talking about the broader implications of Pakistan-India relations and regional security in today's program, and what it means for the region at large. To discuss this and more, we are joined in the studios by Advocate Parvez Shah, who is Secretary General All Parties Hurriyat Conference. Welcome to the program. We are also joined by Executive Director Young Forum for Kashmir, Youth Forum for Kashmir, Mr. Zaman Bajwa. Welcome to the program. And we are joined online by Dr.Asma Shakir Khawaja, who is Executive Director CISS-AJK. Welcome to the program. Dr. Asma, let me start with you. When we talk about these recent remarks, of course, we have been talking about these controversial statements during the election campaign of Narendra Modi. But when we talk about these latest remarks in Ladakh, what do you make of these statements?
Have to keep it in mind that from Ladakh, BJP couldn't win a single seat. So, and then we have to keep in mind the way BJP performed in recent elections. So his statement in Ladakh is only an effort to divert media, public, and international organizations' attention. And this is an old strategy of India. And I wish that someone could ask Mr. Modi that which country is involved in extraterritorial, extrajudicial killings of political opponents across the globe. Which countries' bilateral relations are on stake with Australia, with Canada, with America, and several other countries because of its rogue behavior. So it is funny that Mr. Modi has guts to divert public's attention towards Pakistan, despite being launching or in his planning a rigorous, aggressive killing spree across the globe. Then
Right.
it also looks that Modi didn't learn from the defeat in election, and he is still thinking, or his team is still convinced, that by creating anti-Pakistan war jingoism and by instigating hatred against minority would serve them better, because in this election BJP government didn't launch as such
Right.
the surgical so-called false flag operations. So maybe
Right.
they are thinking on these terms.
Right, and Dr. Saiba, do you also think that this is going to be setting the tone for how he is going to be pursuing his political agenda in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, and of course the surrounding territories in future?
Definitely. Here I would refer to the recent article by famous Indian journalist Barkha Dutt, and she categorically wrote that during last 5 years, the maximum number of the number of Indian soldiers, armed personals killed in Jammu and Kashmir is higher than the number of soldiers killed during last 5 years. So this again, it is a slap on Modi's face or his government's claims, because BJP said that everything will be fine after revocation of Article 370. And in during last 5 years, we have only seen degradation of life, livelihood, human rights in Kashmir. So Modi needs a face saving, and by pointing finger to Pakistan, towards Pakistan, is the easiest way to shrug the responsibility. Modi
Right.
should have the courage to tell the public that how its Kashmir policy has been badly failed.
Right, right. And let me take the same question to Mr. Parvez. Advocate Parvez Saab, do you think that this is, of course, one of those attempts of Narendra Modi to deflect attention from the domestic issues that India is facing at the moment?
Thank you very much. I'm highly obliged and I'm thankful to you and Pakistan Television on behalf of All Parties Hurriyat Conference, which represents aspirations of the people of Jammu and Kashmir, for providing us this platform to speak to the world about the nuclear flashpoint that is Kashmir. I agree with you and what Madam has already said, that on 5th of August, when India revoked Article 370 and 35A, it impressed upon the citizens of India that Kashmir will be calm, nothing is going to be wrong, and we have integrated now Kashmir and closed this chapter once for all. However, he integrated the land, but he could not integrate the hearts and minds of the people of Jammu and Kashmir. During these 3-4 years, what he did, he issued 4.3 million domicile certificates with the intention that he is going to settle non-Kashmiris in Jammu and Kashmir. But I pay tribute to the people of Jammu and Kashmir who didn't sell even a single inch of the land to the non-Kashmiris. However, he made every attempt to settle the non-Kashmiris on the state land, and it is very unfortunate. But even then, the Kashmiri resistance should be appreciated, how what they are doing. As Madam said, that it is not only one factor that which compelled Modi to speak against the state of Pakistan. There are multiple reasons. One reason is that India was selling that the peace in Jammu and Kashmir to international community and to its domestic audience. And this was the focus for his vote bank for the elections. He made it clear to the nation that Kashmir is calm, there is a flow of tourism, everything is all right, but what we have seen that now one of the Indian forces was withdrawn from the occupation.
Right.
Secondly, Jammu and Kashmir was also in the elections. What Modi did not get even the candidate for BJP in occupied Jammu and
Right, and that's what Dr. Asma also alluded
and
to.
thirdly,
Right.
what happened, that he forced the people to go to the polling booths and cast their vote. But how intelligently Kashmiris played, they didn't vote to those people who were supported by Narendra Modi, but they voted for the soft separatism. Because Engineer Rashid was one of the candidates who is behind the bars, who has been always talking about the human rights of the Kashmiris, although not clearly about the disputed territory of Jammu and Kashmir, but about the detainees, about the rights of the people. People considered that this is a lesser evil, let us vote for him. However, India is portraying at international level that people have casted their vote in favor of India, which is not true. People have voted for soft separate those candidates, because had APIC been in the elections, because APIC does not believe in the elections, we think these elections are rigged, and India will portray it internationally that people have participated in these elections. This is one of the reasons.
Right, right. And talking about Zaman, let's move towards the situation in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. When we talk about these recent inflammatory, of course, statements coming from Modi, this is not the first time that he has accused Pakistan of terrorism or of the proxy wars. But coming to the situation in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, the recent killings of 12 soldiers this year in, of course, Kashmir. Do you think, and how do you think this situation has complicated the security dynamics within Kashmir with the propaganda that, of course, Parvez Shah also alluded to, that India is trying to show to the world, but on the other hand, the situation is that these forces within Kashmir are getting attacked?
When I listened this statement by the Narendra Modi about the involvement of Pakistan to destabilize the Indian territory, one sentence which came into my mind: look who is talking this. When you talk about all this Indian involvement, my earlier panelist told about the involvement of Indian intelligence in Canada, Australia, and killing of the Hardeep Nijjar. So he was also plotting a game to kill the Mr. Panu. And after that, the Five Eyes agencies caught that drama, and they now one of their Mr. Nikhil Gupta is under
Of course,
trial,
investigation, yes.
under investigation. So actually, right now, India and the Narendra Modi is getting some pressure from within the society, from his domestic audience, because his when he first came into the power, he said that we are going to normalize the relation within the neighbor countries. But you see that now this time he have conflicts with all his neighbors, Maldives, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal. All his neighbors are not happy with the Narendra Modi's policy. Basically, they are following the Akhand Bharat and Greater India policy. So, and when you see the situation in Kashmir, he says when they recorded the Article 370, they said that no, everything is okay, and we are going to normalcy. But you see that now few days back there will be 5 years to this illegal actions in Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir. But there was not a single day when the people of Kashmir came out the streets and they chanted against the India, and they are not accepting these illegal actions. And once they were propagating that no, it's a matter of just a valley, some people in the valley, in the deep down, they are just coming on the street. But when you see that after revoking the Article 370, the people of Ladakh and Kargil, they are protesting. Actually, right now, it's a matter of the identity of the Kashmiris, the people of the Ladakh, Leh, Kargil. They are now, and they are implementing all the curriculum. They are changing the language. So the people now felt that their identity is going away. So that's why they are on the streets, and they are just saying that we want our right to plebiscite. There must be
Right.
plebiscite under UN.
Right, and we will be talking about the role of UN and other international human rights organizations as well later in the program. But Dr. Asma, when we talk about these inflammatory statements of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, how do you see, do you think that this is to, of course, appease the domestic audience, and do you think this is also to bolster his nationalistic, credentials in his voters or the citizens, or and how do you see this is going to be, of course, showing to the international audience?
See, if we see Moody's nationalistic report card, he tried his best during his last two tenures to raise them to the maximum. For example, he stopped all communication links with Pakistan. He disengaged the Indian government from any peace talk or negotiations with Pakistan, and on every international forum, him and his minister, especially the Minister for External Affairs, didn't forget to mention Pakistan as an antagonist. He committed crimes against humanity by allowing the genocide and killings of minorities in India. And he again crime against international law when he ordered his state organizations or institutions to carry out killing of political opponents across the globe. So what else Modi needs right now? He violated international borders. He committed so-called false flag operations and failed surgical strikes. So now if he thinks that he can raise the bar further, it means that he has really false sense of perception of self and others. Here it is again important to mention that while standing in Ladakh and telling people that Pakistan is has done this, it is very important to mention that as per Shimla agreement, which Indian government signed as a legal document, as per Shimla agreement, India has to return all peaks occupied during the war of 1971, and Kargil was part of Azad Jammu and Kashmir because before 1971, but
Right.
India failed to abide by the agreement their democratic government signed and didn't return the Kargil peaks to Pakistan. So this is the actual issue, and Indian government should have courage to tell their people and international audience that they are liars and cheaters, and they cheated upon Pakistan by after signing the agreement they even didn't return us
Right.
the Kargil peaks. So this is the basic problem. So Modi's nationalistic credentials, if he raises them to further, it would be like a mass genocide. It would lead to mass genocides and civil wars, instigate more civil wars, because we know that already in Jammu and Kashmir, in Manipur, in the Sikh Khalistani Sikhs, all of those minorities which are marginal, extremely marginalized under the so-called authoritarianship of Mr. Modi and BJP, they are demanding their separate homelands. And when we see
Right.
the results of recent elections, all those people, Mr. Abdul Rashid in Jammu and Kashmir won elections by the margin of 3 lakh votes. This Amrit Pal Singh, who is declared as a Khalistani leader, he won the election with more than the margin of 3 lakh votes. What Modi would like to say about all this? All those
Right.
people with Modi declared traitors, they have public support, and this is the biggest reality right now in India under Mr. Modi.
Right, and talking about separatist movements, it is not only the Kashmiris that want a separate homeland, or when we talk about plebiscite, but what do you make of the recent, of course, plebiscite regarding the Khalistan movement? Of course, we know that transnational terrorism of Modi, and of course you alluded to earlier as well regarding the Sikh movement and how they are also being repressed. What do you make of these statements against Pakistan, against all this context and backdrop?
The six movement to vote or conduct a referendum for Khalistan, if it is useless movement, then why Modi Sarkar is so afraid of it that they are on spree of killing Sikh Khalistani leaders across the globe? If that is useless, that is, and then when Sikhs doesn't have the liberty to express their viewpoints and what they actually want within the Federation of India, what else option they have to express the sentiments of majority of Sikh minority? Of course, in the developed world, they had civil liberties and they can express what they want for their future. This reminds me, yes, the statement of Indian Punjab's chief minister yesterday, which said, which he stated that if the Sikh farmers are not allowed to come and have a sit-in in Delhi, what he should do? Should he send them to Lahore to conduct a sit-in against the government policies? So this is the height of helplessness when the Sikh farmers to demand their basic rights, they are not being allowed to enter Delhi and sit in, conduct a sit in. And this shows that how the elite mafia, those who gave who bought electoral bonds of BJP, how BJP is going to all heights, to maximum level, to support the interest of industrialists instead of poor farmers who are feeding whole India.
Right.
So these are small acts, but they have mega impact on the concerned communities who get affected by these policies.
Right, right. And of course, Advocate Parvez Saab, coming back to the India's treatment of Kashmiris in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, how do you think that that treatment and also the abrogation of Article 370 and 35A that India did back in, of course, August 2019, that aligns with international laws, and what can Kashmiris do about it?
Before coming to this question, it is very important to mention which compelled Modi to issue this statement. It has to have some relevance with Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir, because you have seen the Indian corporate media as well as the Indian establishment as well as Modi that they are continuously speaking against the Pakistan for the last couple of days. I will correct the figures. The figures are that 12 military men have been killed. In the last 1 year, more than 52% military men have been killed. Let us set the record correct. Secondly, what Kashmir, he was expecting that Kashmir is calm, but the militant leadership of Kashmir, freedom fighters, they have changed their strategy. They have taken this battle from Kashmir province to Jammu, which was for Modi, it was calm, nothing was happening there, because he has suppressed the people that they were not raising any voice. But once they
Can you
moved,
tell, for the audience's sake, can you tell us about the demographics of both the regions, about the Jammu and Kashmir?
Jammu is in few of the districts there is a Muslim majority, but it is mostly populated by Hindus. But in Kashmir, it is completely a Muslim majority state. But in Jammu, there is a Pir Panjal area. He was expecting that it is almost calm, because he had number of killings there in that area, especially of Muslims, and he was expecting there will be no sympathy for those freedom fighters. What the freedom fighters did, they took this war from occupied Jammu and Kashmir to Pir Panjal area, where Narendra Modi was not ready, and he was not expecting that the freedom fighters will give such a blow to Narendra Modi. And this exposed India's, the Narendra Modi's, what he was selling, that Jammu Kashmir is peaceful, and he started to blaming Pakistan. This is not first time. India is in habit of blaming Pakistan, because they have to, I can say with honesty that if they have to keep India united, the hatred for the Pakistan is very important, because otherwise it is very difficult for India, because the Indian army cannot keep the India united, because there, as you earlier mentioned, there are different separatist movements.
Right.
So in Jammu and Kashmir, he was hoping that there is peace and nothing is going to, it has changed. On one hand, Narendra Modi is telling international community, telling Kashmiris that Pakistan has given up, it has nothing to do with the people of Jammu and Kashmir. But on the other hand, it is blaming Pakistan, not for this, because Pakistan is giving political, moral and diplomatic support, and India does not want this support should be given to the people of Jammu and Kashmir,
Right.
because Pakistan is the only country which is promoting Kashmir cause at the international level.
Right. Now coming back to my basic question about how does the treatment of Kashmiris align with the international laws, and what are Kashmiris doing regarding this, specifically when we talk about the legal avenues?
I will tell you that All Parties Hurriyat Conference has started a program in Pakistan, because India is doing one thing. It is making the political leadership and the detainees behind the bars who have given their whole life for this movement, to make them invisible. Because India wants that what they have did, what these martyrs for the cause they have did, it should not be transformed to the second generation. So they are making them invisible before the public eye. That is the reason it has restrained the freedom of speech and expression, and it does not allow the freedom of assembly. Kashmiris have understood that what India is going to do with them. As Madam has already said, they are preparing for a genocide, because they are knowing the fact that Kashmiris are not going to compromise on their right to self-determination. If we see international law, if we go to the instrument of accession, what they claim that Maharaja signed the instrument of accession with India, but he has surrendered only 3 subjects to India, that is defense, communication and foreign affairs, and he retained the sovereignty with him, which was abrogated that sovereignty on 5th of the August. It is not only against the agreement which were signed the then leadership of India and Jammu and Kashmir.
Right.
It violates the international law, United Nations Charter, because and the basic agreement, because if the
Right, of course, we know that it violates the international laws, but Parvez Sahab, what legal avenues are available for seeking justice to Kashmiris?
You see, under United Nations Charter, any countries who is asking for the membership of the United Nations, he makes some commitments. The first commitment is that he will contribute to the international order, international peace. What India did, India is violating those international obligations for the sake of argument. I am saying that United Nations resolutions, they did not sign the Convention Against Torture, although it signed it, it did not ratify it for the last 20 years. It means it is violating all international obligations. And it is not contributing to the peace because it is at war with its neighbors, with Pakistan, with China, with Bhutan and others. So there is another article in the Constitution, in the Universal Declaration as well as the UN Charter, that if a country does not contribute to the peace, the Security Council can make a move and can suspend its membership from the United Nations. So Pakistan as a nation should focus on this area, and at the same time it should see all legal avenues, because Pakistan has not exercised so far this legal aspects, legal avenues which are available, although they are in consultation with us.
Right. And Zaman, how do you see the role of UN regarding this oldest issue on the agenda of UN? How has UN, in your opinion, responded to this, specifically when we talk about human rights abuses since, of course, 5th August 2019?
When we see the role of the United Nations, and especially the Kashmir issue is alive because of three elements. One is the sacrifices and the resilience of the Kashmiri people. For not a single day, they just forgot their cause. By their sacrifices, they alive their right to self-determination and the Kashmir conflict. The other thing is the role of Pakistan's diplomacy. On every forum, Pakistan just narrated and did a lobbying and advocacy for the rights of people, for the rights of the people of the Jammu and Kashmir. And third one is the role of the UN is it's not much brilliant, but it's satisfactory. When you see the actions, it's one of the oldest issue on the agenda of United Nations, and we are talking about this issue because of the United Nations resolutions. And so the role of UN is very important, and whenever there is something going to happen over there in Kashmir, especially after you talk about the 5 August 2019 actions, Indian illegal actions. So there was a session, committee session regarding the updates and developments on the Kashmir issue. So UN is doing.
So it was at the back burner, but this action, of course, brought the issue into limelight again.
Obviously,
at the
UN just passed 3 reports regarding the human rights violation in Indian occupied Kashmir, and on all these reports, there was one thing that was very common, that the India is involved against the people of Kashmir on a systematic way on governmental level. So when you talk about Pakistan, the government of Pakistan, the Foreign Office of Pakistan submitted a dossier to the United Nations, and they provided the evidence of the 2,400 incidents against the people of Kashmir, where Indian forces were involved. And when we see and we talk about the legal avenues and legal ways, Dr. Parvez, he published a very brief report about the structure of the violence. He collected all the cases which were registered under the Indian judicial system, and he prepared that report presented to the UN. And now whenever there is something happening, people go and consult that report and see what is going to happen over there. So India is not only he is violating the international humanitarian laws. He is also violating the international human rights laws. So being the youth of Pakistan and civil society, we have to talk about that.
Right, this is very important to keep on talking about this issue, especially in regards to the recent inflammatory statements by Narendra Modi. But Dr. Asma, when we talk about Pakistan-India relations and these frequent statements coming from Modi that are mainly, of course, anti-Pakistan, when we talk about dialogue, and we know that both countries have been, the relations between both countries have been in a deep freeze state since 2019, 5th August 2019. What are the main obstacles to resuming the dialogue between Pakistan and India at this point in time?
This is a pertinent question, very important question. In order to start dialogue, we need to create an enabling environment where dialogue can take place. If we see right now the aggressive postures by the Modi regime 3.0 and the way they are going on and on blaming Pakistan at official level, that is really disappointing. Because if we need to start a dialogue, that would not be from a position of weakness or from the position of antagonist. Environment, there are small steps which are important to create an enabling environment and elimination or like both governments, Pakistani government already, Pakistani government officials, they don't give instigating statements about India, but Indian government, whenever they want, they give people pleasing statements about negative statements about Pakistan. And
Right.
why they are people pleasing statements? Because Modi has developed a public mindset on the basis of hatred. I'm so happy that in this election that hatred didn't work for him, but this is very important that there should be small a strategic communication or strategic
Right, right.
signaling
And that's my next question,
regarding
Dr. Asma.
India's desire to have peace.
Right, right. Desire to
Gigi,
have peace.
yeah.
And when we talk about desire to have peace, how confidence building measures can help improve Pakistan India relations, and what kind of confidence building measures are needed at this point in time? We have the past, of course, experiences as well. What lessons can we learn from those, of course, confidence building measures?
See, confidence building measures are of various types. One smaller and then larger. Smaller or immediate confidence building measures could be if Modi would have invited Pakistan's Prime Minister. If you remember, during his third oath taking ceremony, he invited almost all the country heads of South
Regional
Asia
heads, of course.
except Pakistan.
Right.
So this is really, really important. Modi has missed all the possibilities. So right now, what Modi can do, maybe some those that signaling which I mentioning earlier, that can be a peace signal. CBM have immediate dividends and CBMs have long-lasting dividends. For example, if Modi gives some signs of, because Pakistani Prime Minister after taking oath has invited India for peaceful dialogue for sustainable development of the region. So maybe as one first CBM, Modi can express its support for CPAC and become member of C. If you remember, for last 10 years, Pakistan is offering India to become member or part of the larger the CPAC and corridor network, logistical network. So maybe Modi can withdraw its support from to launch proxy wars against Pakistan from Afghanistan. Because in order to start CBMs or dialogue, we need to cease violence in the conflict. Maybe Modi can restore the most important strategic enabler to start peace dialogues and CBM process, because CBMs are also decided through dialogues. There are no unilateral CBMs, but they are always bilateral or multilateral. So maybe Modi can reverse his action of revoking Article 370 in Kashmir and grant special status to Kashmiri people and Kashmir as well, because like the presence of UN MOGIP in Jammu and Kashmir is an evidence that it is a still disputed territory on UN agenda. So Modi needs to accept this reality. By constitutional changes, Modi cannot change the disputed status of Kashmir. Modi should stop delimitation, or like what what Modi is doing to dilute the Kashmiri identity of Kashmiri people. And I would say, as Modi's the former leader and Prime Minister of India, Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, said that there are only three ways to resolve Kashmir conflict: humanity, democracy, and Kashmiriyat. So Modi can start respecting these three things, at least in occupied Jammu and Kashmir, to create an enabling environment in which Pakistan and
Right.
India would go for peace. So Modi should give us peace signals.
Right, right. And when we talk about, of course, the situation within Indian illegally occupied Kashmir, what are the potential, of course, future scenarios for the future of Kashmiris if the current stalemate continues between Pakistan and India?
Kashmiris are resilient people. They will fight till they achieve their goal. But what I will add one thing to the madam, that
Sure.
you were talking about the dialogue between India and Pakistan. India is ready to dialogue, but at the cost of Kashmir. When I'm talking about the Kashmir, when there are more than 1 million armed forces, when the draconian laws are already applicable, when you are disempowering the people of Jammu and Kashmir, when your leadership is behind the bars, how India thinks that peace will come? One thing is definitely that you can see the silence of a graveyard in Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir, but they have not given up the resistance, because we have to take into consideration how the Kashmiris are fighting against India, because they are not fighting a war, they are resisting the occupation, because we don't have we have snipers, neither we have the tanks, neither we have the aircrafts. So we are resisting Indian occupation by throwing stones, by observing time according to the Pakistan time, by observing Eid when Pakistan announced it, and we pray after the Friday prayers. So these are the different types of the resistance which are resisting against the occupation. When every Kashmiri family is affected, in every Kashmiri family there is one martyr. How the mother of that martyr will allow to any political leadership to go for the dialogue, and how the leadership of Jammu and Kashmir will dare to enter into a dialogue when we have the graveyards around the Jammu and Kashmir. We have the mass graves. We have at this time we have introduced a new term to the English terminology, that is half widows, because we have thousands of the women whose husbands are whether they are dead, whether they are alive, it is unknown. They cannot go for the marriage. They cannot inherit the property from those left by their husbands,
Right.
because it is not clear whether they are dead
Right.
or alive, and their children cannot get even admissions in the schools. And how India expects that Kashmiris will give up and they will go with the
Of
India.
course, and this depicts one of the many abuses that India is committing in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. But coming back to Modi's statement, anti-Pakistan statement, accusing Pakistan of terrorism and of proxy wars, how do you see that this impacts, of course, India's perception in international stage or in international community regarding its policy in Kashmir?
When you talk about the India's position in the international forums, a few days back there was a webinar organized by Copenhagen-based think tank. They told that right now, under the Modi regime, India is in a position of isolation. First, he was losing the confidence and the trust of his neighbors, and now it's going worldwide. and already we mentioned about the US and his actions in Canada. So India right now, India is just doing one thing. He is getting time and bringing this conflict longer and longer. When you see the Indian policy, first they told that we are going to take this issue to the UN in earlier stages, and after that they said that no, it's not a multilateral issue.
This is a bilateral.
It's a bilateral issue, and it's between India and Pakistan, and we are going to resolve it. And ma'am told about the Shimla agreement. They do some agreements, but after that, now they are, when you see their wording on the narrative level, they are saying that it's an internal matter. So we were talking about the CBMs. They are not going to get a single CBM. If they want to take a CBM, then they have to just stop and going back to the 5 August 2019 situation. So then the people of Kashmir and Pakistan can say that no, they are serious in the dialogue and they want this issue must be resolved. And it's a very dangerous issue. When he gave a very dangerous statement, although India and Pakistan are the neutral power,
of course,
and there is also a power which is in a neighborhood, and basically he was just minimizing the guilt of the Galwan Valley, what the Chinese did with them in Galwan Valley, and in Kargil they are just giving statement against Pakistan and China.
But of course, but this is very threatening for the regional peace at large as well, right? Thank you very much, Mr. Zaman Bajwa, for joining us in today's program. Thank you very much, Advocate Parvez Shah, for joining us in today's program. Thank you very much, Dr.Asma Shakir Khawaja, for joining us in today's program. Of course, in view of latest developments, there seem to be a little hope for the ice melting between Pakistan and India at this point in time in the context of these inflammatory statements coming from Narendra Modi. But dialogue is the only way when we talk about regional peace and security. That's all from Game Changer tonight. Take care. Allah Hafiz.